Well, hey everybody. Welcome to Lenten Lunch. My name is Doug Vance and I live in Yorkville, Illinois, and I'm with Community Christian Church out of the Chicagoland area. It is so good to be with you today. Well, let me ask you this question. Do you have any followers? And no, I'm not talking about digital followers like Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or TikTok. I'm talking about, do you have any physical followers? Anybody that's really following after you, maybe wherever you go? And if you did, that would probably be very creepy, right? But my wife and I, Becky, we actually have a follower in our home, and she goes almost everywhere we go. And you may even see her zigzag back and forth behind me here, and it's our yellow lab Duchess. You know, when I get up in the morning and I come out of our room and I go downstairs to get my coffee and it's early, you know, I hear that wag, 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 and I hear her ears kind of, you know, she just kind of shakes off, and she is at that moment right by my side. And the whole time I'm in the house, like, I feel like she's always with me. She'll come upstairs in my study, even in the morning. She'll sit in the chair right next to me. And for a while, that's a good thing. But after a little bit of time, there's sometimes I just want my space. Maybe if you have toddlers in the house or kids, there's a little bit of that, and they always seem to be right there. But there's something nice, isn't there, about having someone who wants to be with you, to follow with you? Well, we're going to look at a verse today, actually two verses that kind of talk about following, and it's a famous passage. Many of us, if you've been a Christ follower for a while or gone to church, you've probably heard this passage of Scripture. And it's found in Matthew chapter 16, verses 24 and 25. And I want to give just a little bit of context here, because Jesus is going to give us this sort of nugget of truth that we're going to apply today. But prior to that, he's spending a little bit of time with his disciples discussing and talking about what's going to happen to him as he makes his journey to the cross. And so there's some very difficult things that he's sharing with his disciples. And he's kind of having these clarifying questions, or like in our house, if we have to have maybe a difficult conversation, we call it a family conversation. We're going to have a family conversation. I think that's what Jesus is doing with his disciples prior to these verses. And then he jumps into Matthew chapter 16, 24 and 25, when he says, Jesus said to his disciples, "If anyone would come after me, he must deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. For whoever wants to save his life will lose it, but whoever wants to lose his life for me will find it." Maybe you've heard these words before, and I think Jesus leaves us with kind of a few applications. He talks about we have to deny ourselves, take up our cross, and follow him. So what does that look like? If anybody wants to be my disciple, well, in our church, we talk about that a disciple is someone who hears from God and does what he says. Someone who hears from God and does what he says. And so here's Jesus saying, well, deny yourself, take up your cross, and follow me. Deny ourselves. You know, even when I say that, it feels weird. It feels like, why would I want to deny myself? We live in a society that just goes, get whatever you want to get. Do whatever you want to do. Don't deny yourself. But Jesus is saying something very opposite. He's going, no, I need you to deny yourself. If you're going to be a disciple, someone who hears from me and does what I say, deny yourself. And it may mean that Jesus is asking us to forego maybe something. Maybe he's asking us to be willing to give of our time or the talent that he has given us, or the resources that are entrusted to us, to deny, to give up maybe something that we would want. And maybe it's not even bad, but he's just saying, are you willing to give that up and take up your cross? Jesus for us isn't saying physically take up your cross, but I think when I think about picking up a cross was something that was heavy. It's heavy. You can't really be carrying an awful lot if you're going to pick up a cross. And many of us, we love to hold on to things. I know I love to hold on to certain things in my life and not let them go. But Jesus is saying, if you really want to follow me, you need to deny yourself. You need to be all in. You need to take up your cross and maybe let some things go and follow me. And then if we didn't understand it enough, Jesus goes on and he says in verse 25 to clarify, for whoever wants to save his life will lose it. But whoever wants to lose his life for me will find it. And he's kind of going, hey, listen, if you want to try to save your life, if you want to protect what you have in this world, ultimately you're going to lose a rich and abundant life that I have for you. But then he goes, but if you want to lose your life, if you're willing to deny, if you're willing to pick up your cross and follow me, truly follow me, make me the subject of your life, the center of your life, then you will experience a life that is beyond imagination. In our church over the last few years, we've focused on this thing we call the U plus life. And it kind of comes from John 10:10, where Jesus is saying that he wants us to have life and have it to the full, to have it abundant, to experience what he's created us to be, that life. And that's the life that I think Jesus is talking about. We call it a U plus life. And in that U plus life, it encompasses three relationships. A relationship with God, a relationship with the church, and a relationship with the world. And so as disciples, we kind of look at these three relationships and we're like, okay, so how's my life with God going? How's my relationship with God going? How's my relationship with the church? And I'm not just talking about the organization of the church. I'm talking about a gathering of people on mission together where Jesus is king. And maybe that's the church where you go, but that can be anywhere. It can be in your home. It can be in a restaurant. It can be in your neighborhood. It can be as you go. The church, your relationship with the church, my relationship with the church. And then finally, our relationship with the world that God has placed us, the world that Jesus has placed us in. And so today, how are those three relationships going as you and I follow Jesus? To experience a life that only he can give us with purpose and meaning. And that means we have to kind of let go. So that relationship with God, how's it going with you today? Are you spending time in his word, prayer, journaling, just really like spending purposeful time? And how about the church? How are you being the church today? How am I being the church as I go into the world? Because that's what it looks like to truly follow Jesus. That's what it looks like to deny ourselves, take up our cross, and follow him as disciples of Jesus. And disciples are people who hear from God and do what he says. And so today, I just challenge you to take a look at those three relationships and follow Jesus and allow him to allow you to experience a life beyond your wildest imagination. So thanks for spending time today. And may we all, as we go throughout Lent, be impacted and better followers, disciples of Jesus. Have a great day.